Welcome in, Yankees family. I'm your guy Gio, joined every week with my co-host Tyler. Tyler, how you feeling today?
Well, I'm feeling fine. I don't know about the Yankees, but I was just sitting here. I'm like,
Ah.
I have two elbows that are fairly intact. Maybe I can. Maybe it's not too late to donate ulnar collateral to Mr. Dominguez.
pouring one out for the youth because
The uh, the Yankees youths didn't
the
last that
youths.
long.
No, they
The
didn't.
youths.
Jason
That's the most
Dominguez.
annoying.
Jason Dominguez torn UCL. Now Peraz is out. It's just who's next, right? It's just I'm a loss for words, but let's take care of some homework before we get into some of the good stuff. If you like Yankees content and it's your first time joining us, please consider subscribing and like and comment. Let us know what you think about our current New York Yankees team and what you guys would do to fix it, because I am open for suggestions because this shit is completely effed up.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. Uh,
There's no
I
way
don't know
to
what else to
spin it.
say.
There's no
Yeah.
way to spin it, man. This team is cursed. I can't imagine. I keep saying this, and I just feel like it's 100% true. Like, this is the script of Major League Three. Um, this is a bad movie. This is an alternate universe. I don't know if we can go back to that little ripple that started this whole us on this whole alternate path, but we got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen videos that are like, what happened if the Yankees didn't trade for Stan? Or, I mean, you could think even further before that, what would happen if they ended up with Otani? Because that's really what happened. They didn't get Otani, and then they're like, oh, what's the second best thing? A right-handed, power-hitting right fielder to go with a right-handed, power-hitting right fielder and a right-handed catcher, right-handed first baseman, right-handed. Everybody was ready because lefties got shifted on.
Yep.
But we talk about this all the time. There's no reason to beat the dead bush.
Yeah, it's dumb. Like, if Otani wasn't if you didn't get Otani, I don't understand why we. If you're gonna go for a righty, I'd rather have wanted Manny Machado. If you had to go for a righty, right? If Bryce Harper was too expensive, or just Brian Cashman is just turned on by right-handed batters. If that's his thing, right? That gets him going at night with his wife. Then all right, so be it. Why couldn't you get Manny? Like, Manny has played almost every game for the Padres until what, last year, this season actually. Almost every single game, he's healthy. He doesn't get hurt, and when he does get hurt, it's a freak accident.
Yeah, I mean, all I can think of is that Stanton came off an MVP year, and uh, somebody doesn't look past like the home run numbers or whatever. I don't know. Like I mean, it made sense at the time, but you can't just keep taking risks and keep on trying the same thing over and over. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm like done trying to beat this dead horse, but it's just frustrating. There's a lot that needs to be done, and we can go on. Last time we talked, the future looked very bright. We were sitting here saying maybe we don't have to do too much this offseason. Maybe just getting like a Cody, or trading for a Soto, or getting a Cody and getting a Holy. Um, something like that. Maybe go after Yamamoto, and then you call it a wrap, and then you have the cornerstones of your team with Cole, Rodon, Yamamoto, and your pitching staff, the three-headed snake, and then you got Judge, Dominguez, Volpe. DJ's looking like he's having a resurgence. If you want to keep Glaber, cool. I don't even care at this point. More, we need as much offense as possible. So you look like you had the beginnings of what could have been a very dynamic team, right? Young, at least getting younger, more athletic, more exciting. And now, Dominguez is gone pretty much probably to August. I know people keep saying maybe April, maybe May, But let's be honest. This is the New York Yankees. My man ain't coming back till August. We'll be lucky to see him, the end of July, All-Star, right after the All-Star break. So, we have a lot of heavy lifting we need to go do this offseason. And I keep saying it all starts with Stanton, man. It all starts with Giancarlo Stanton. Like, we have to find a way to move his contract. Because if you move his contract, then you can think about possibly Dominguez coming back in May, just DHing full time. He doesn't have to throw, he could just DH. And then he could work the whole year or towards majority of the year till August without throwing and just DH for us. And then he get in the field, starting August 1st.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even thinking about the DH spot, of course, because Stanton's got that filled up. But I mean, they're gonna have him go through his little rehab thing, but they are definitely gonna keep him in AAA until he kind of gets on a hot streak, and then they'll call him up.
Mm.
But they're not gonna rush it, which is makes sense. He's a young guy.
20-year-old, probably your future. Why rush it?
What I would do in the meantime is I know you're not a big fan, but I'd play Florial in center field for the last 19 games of the year. See what you got there. Either way, they're probably just going to dump him after the season. And then you're looking at bringing in at least two bats, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If I were in charge, my number one target is Jung Ho Lee, just because he's young, he's going to be cheap, he's on the better side of 25, and even if he doesn't pan out, he can be your fourth outfielder. He's great at defense. He has a left-handed bat. He has all the qualities that the guys don't have right now. And then, I mean, it was pretty interesting to see Brian Cashman over there in Japan watching Yamamoto pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think people were saying the last time he actually went his own to go scout somebody, it's been a long time.
Tanaka.
So, yeah, I mean, Tanaka's my favorite, but Yamamoto seems like even a better pitcher,
Mm-hmm.
younger, and not pitched into the ground already. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, Yamamoto and Bellinger, the two of them combined, that's a pretty good offseason. But I just don't see how opening the checkbooks like that, even though it's so simple. Um, I mean, both guys would cost probably about 200 mil, and both obviously have their risk. I think they need to figure out how to make trades and good trades, which hasn't happened in the last 5 years. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
So let me look at the bottom number. So the Yankees 2024 without our players is 190 million. So
Yeah, the
with the
sport guy.
estimated ARB players, you're talking about 100 197 million. So for the first competitive tax threshold, they have around $40 million to play with. There's money off the books. So how can if we can if I don't know, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because from the way that I see things, Hal is taking a more hands-on approach so far right now. He went to go see Yamamoto with Brian Sabian, not Sabian, Manaya and Brian Cashman. I don't know if maybe Manaya has Cashman's ear and is probably telling him like, "Listen, man, you got to play these kids." This analytic group that Cashman got, they're not it no more. And if that is the case, and if that is, Hal's new motto where he wants to get younger, he wants to get more versatile, he wants to get more athletic, I think he might actually really go hard at Yamamoto. The then question then becomes: is Cody still is still in play once they go through that whole ordeal with Yamamoto? Because I know Holy will have to get go through what is it called?
Like the posting
Yeah,
thing.
posting fees. So that might take a little longer. So they have that as a backup if Cody signs quick or signs before they finish their dealings with Yamamoto. Um, I honestly see them dipping their feet heavy in the Asian market this year, generating a lot of that money so that they can try to go get Soto next year. I don't know. What is your
Mm.
thoughts?
I mean, you kind of got to pick between Soto and Bellinger, even though on paper they could fit on the same roster. But adding a 200 mil left-handed outfielder slash first baseman, and then the next offseason adding a left-handed left fielder and DH probably is not going to. However, like you said before, your first focus got to be to move Stanton. In my opinion, you got to move two out of the four of LeMahieu, Glaber, Rizzo, and Stanton. At least two out of the four of them, if you want any roster flexibility. I mean, I don't think they're going to trade Rizzo without giving him a shot, seeing if there's anything left in there because he had a lost season because of the concussion. But I mean, I'd seriously hold a little bit of a competition in the spring
Mm.
with Rizzo and Ben Rice at least. And you can always stash Ben Rice down in AAA, and if Rizzo doesn't work out, call him up. But I mean, looking at the payroll here, Severino's coming off for 15. I don't think they should go within 20 feet of him. Montas, same deal, about 7.5, and then IKF 6 mil. So there's 28 mil in itself right there. I don't think they should re-sign any free agents that they're losing. And we also got to remember that Donaldson was owed 21 mil this year with
Mm-hmm.
a 6 mil buyout for next year. So there's another 15 mil right there. And then you got Wandy's 3.5 coming off. I mean, that's about it. So you got to maybe create some roster and payroll flexibility by trading people. But nobody likes to trade with the Yankees because Cashman doesn't know how to compromise because he's got to win every deal. So I don't know. He's got to get creative. And I'd really like to see what Pereira is going to do in left field. I don't know if he's shown enough yet or if he's going to spring and do something, but I feel like he may be traded or they're just going to pull another like Frazier where they mismanage the guy and he becomes valueless.
They have to do something with Rizzo. Like I'm looking at his contract right now. He has a 6-team no trade clause. You can definitely work around that. He's guaranteed at $20 million next year. I think it really starts with Giancarlo. Like if you can't do anything to move him, then you start to look at Rizzo. Taking that 10 million off the book, say if you eat 10,
Yeah.
you keep 10, there goes the holy money per season. Um, then you still have $40 million to work with where, you give 25, 30 mil to Yamamoto a season. Then you have to start thinking about let me look at the rest of these guys' payroll. Like who else on this payroll can you really move?
I
Um,
really think I really think if you get Yamamoto, you get Cole, Rodon, Nestor, Yamamoto, and King or Schmidt. I personally keep King because I think he's a much better pitcher, and I trade Schmidt along with like Pereira and maybe even Peraza if he's not gonna like end up in a position and you keep Claver. And those are like the 3 or 4 guys that I make a huge offer for Soto. But either way, Soto tests free agent waters because he would be leaving millions of dollars on the table if he took an extension.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, just as easily lose him right off after the season. So I don't know what you do. I don't think the Padres are really going to shop him. So maybe you just hold on to those guys. And I mean, if not Soto, the second best position that you really need to lock up that has been an issue is third base. And there's really no left-handed third baseman that makes sense. Candelario's a free agent, but he doesn't move the needle enough. And paying for guys as a free agent, you're already overpaying because they're free agents. They tend to make a bunch more money. So if not Candelario, one guy who I've thought about for years and have dreamt of, who's probably never going to get traded, probably doesn't want to be traded, is Jose Ramirez. But he's locked up a long time with the
And he got a
Guardians.
team friendly deal. There's no need to move
Yeah,
him.
if you look at baseball trade value, he's at like positive 80. So you gotta like gut the team to get that type of guy. But I don't know.
Looking at the contracts, you have Clay Holmes that's going to be making some money. He's ARB. He's in his last year ARB. Johnny Loiziga last year of ARB. Domingo's probably never going to return to the Yankees, so that's fine. Higgy, this is his last season of arbitration, so he's going to start making some money. Nestor, Trevino, and King are going to start making some money. Schmidt, this is his first year eligible for arbitration next year, so he's going to make a little bit of money. It's not too much. You probably make $1 million or $2 million, but that's when you start to make a little bit of a cha-ching.
See, if I
Um,
was in charge, I'd trade most of those guys.
yeah, definitely. Johnny Loiziga, Higgy. I would trade Glaber yesterday, but the Yankees they like him. A lot of Yankee fans like him, so it is what it is. Lou Trevino, he's been hurt, so you might have to wait to the trade deadline to move him, unless you want to lose 100% on that deal, because he's hurt, and you're gonna get nothing back from him. King,
We
it's
are.
smart for King that he started pitching during his first year of ARB, because now he can talk himself into a little bit more money this season, or next season, should I say. Now I know why the Yankees like Albert Abreu, who's still pre-ARB. He got
Yeah,
one
well, he
more year.
sucks. He sucks.
Yeah, he got one more year of pre-arbitration, and
We
then
do get we do get Scott Efros back next year.
yes, we
He's
do.
he's got another like 4 years on his.
Yeah, because he didn't earn
Yeah,
no service time last year, so I believe he's this year, so he still has 5 full years. Um,
that's cool.
Luis Hill, same thing. He didn't accrue any service time this year. I believe we still have the full 6 years, or it might be 5.5 years, something like that. He might have one of those weird 4 year arbitrations due to his weird service time. Um, and then the Yankees will have Aaron Hicks on the books for 2024, his $10 million, and Josh Donaldson's $6 million buyout on the books. There's money coming off, and if you could trade a few of those guys, there's money enough there to go ahead and get Cody Bellinger as well. You can in a perfect world, and that's only going over the first luxury tax. It may be just by a smidge, maybe by like $5 or $6 million, where during the trade deadline you can kind of get under that, with possibly moving, Glaber and a couple other guys, and try to get below that first luxury tax threshold. Of course, these are all make believe numbers. These are all make believe scenarios, but there's really an opportunity to go ahead and add two impactful left-handed bats, an ace-like pitcher. You pray for a Rodon bounce back. You pray that if they can move John Carlo, even if they eat all of this year, all of next year, and then they let that other team pick up those last 2 years, because the money starts to go down the last couple years. I think the last couple of years of the deal is around 25 million. So if you eat all of this year, all of next year, well, should I say all of next year, and all of 2024, all of 2025, and you let that team worry about 26 to 27. I mean, could someone take 2 years of John Carlo for free and roll that dice? I mean, it. sounds nice, right? Like, would the Dodgers do that if they miss out on Otani? Would the Mets possibly do that if they miss out on Otani? I can see the Mets doing it, especially if they say Hal eats all of 2024 and 25, so they got 2 years to figure it out with Big G. Kind of work on his swing, work on some stuff. It's pipe dream, but we gotta find a way to move Big G because if we can get Dominguez back in May, end of May, full time DH, now we're cooking. With say if we get Cody, we get Lee, we get him back by June. That's three really nice, impactful bats. Middle of the order bats. Lee we don't really know about. Maybe he'll be a number 8, number 9 hitter in next year. They say the Korean League is like double A, maybe a high A type of level, but he has great numbers. What is your thoughts, honestly, about him and how he can translate in the majors?
I don't know too much about him.
I
Um,
look up his stats for you real quick.
yeah, I mean, I was looking at his stats recently, but he's like a Gold Glove center fielder. He has that nice like long swing, meaning like not long swing like he has swing and miss swing, like a long swing where his barrel stays through the zone for a long amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously makes a lot of contact, and he's young. The Yankees, I couldn't tell you the last time they developed a lefty from the minor leagues that like turned out into a decent player. I mean, the last name I can think of is like Greg Bird, who you know how that went. But they don't develop left-handed hitters for some reason. So you gotta buy it, I guess. Um, when you were saying before, I would. That's why I trade the depth we have at starting pitcher and relief pitcher because you can call Will Warren for a fifth spot start, or you can put like a Drew Thorpe, Chase, and uh, Fitz. All these teams, these guys are absolutely tearing it up in the minor leagues,
Yeah.
and tell me they wouldn't do better than an Albert Abreu in the bullpen, or what other, or Nick Ramirez, all the other garbage that we've been throwing out. And you're about to lose that window where you can get value for Clay Holmes and Loizaga. You can just reinvest that value that you get in prospects to either your farm system, or say you trade for like a lefty third baseman in the farm, then you have even more infield depth, and then you can trade from that depth. Which I don't know. They gotta develop some lefties from the minor leagues, and some of these guys are calling up that gotta stick. If Peraza and Pereira don't stick, I really need to see like Jones, like Sweeney. Some of these guys gotta like turn up into like real major league players. Like most of these guys they just called up like a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and you're not going to know that quick. But yeah, a lot of these guys, you got to decide whether you're going to trade them or actually trade them. And I mean, honestly, just give me the guys that stay healthy. I don't know how you predict that. Obviously, they don't know. But if I can get a healthy player for the whole season who's like 20% better than league average, I'd rather that than somebody's 40% better than league average is going to be injured half the year.
I mean, let me tell you before I comment on that. Let me tell you his stats over the last few years. So his worst offensive year. This is Jung Ho Lee that I'm talking about. His worst offensive year was this year because he was hurt. He batted 319 with a 407 on base percentage, 456 slugging, and 863 OPS. His best season, which is 2021, batted 360, 430 on base percentage, 522 slugging, and a 959 OPS. He's played at least 140 games in 4 of his last 6 seasons. Excuse me, 4 of his last 7 seasons. Doesn't strike out a lot. The most he struck out was this year, 67. His lowest strikeout
Pretty
year
fun.
was 2022 last year, 32 strikeouts. And sorry, this year he struck out 23 times. 2017 he struck out 67 times. So 2022, his full season, 32 strikeouts and 627 plate appearances. Like if that's a kid in our minors, he will be up now. You know what I'm saying? So he's
Hmm.
obviously got talent. The question is can it translate?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I hope so, and I hope so that they take that risk. I mean, we saw how Yoshida played.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he came from a different league, a
Yeah.
little bit older, but this kind of remind me of each other. And this guy can play some serious defense. If the worst that he turns out is as a fourth outfielder who's gonna get like 100 starts in a year with the injury history of this team, then I'll take that. And I don't think he's going to get paid too terribly much. So I just want to stat here real quick. He had 14 at bats in the World Baseball Classic this
Mm,
past year,
mm.
and he batted 430, 500 OPS, 571 slugging, and yeah, two doubles. So that's pretty good.
It
4 games,
is. I would take the gamble. I would take the risk. He won't cost that much. He will be 25 next season. Same thing with Yamamoto. I think Yamamoto will be 25. Like I think he turns 26 late in the season. So they'll both be around the same age. I would do it. Those are two easy gets for me, in my opinion. And then you worry about Bellinger. If you can or can't, you work on a Soto deal until the Soto deal can or cannot work out. Then you fall back on Cody if he's still available, and if he's not, at least you got a good outfielder, or at least even if he's not your starting left center fielder, Jung Ho Lee, he could be your fourth outfielder, like you said. And then you figure everything else out. And I think you were talking about Florial and a few other guys. To touch back on your point, I don't know, man. I know they're gonna give him a shot now. Florial, he got called up and replaced Jason. I hope he does well, but they're gonna let him go, man. The Yankees are dumb, and we bank on too many of these broken projects where I'm at a loss for the direction of where we're gonna go. The only way I can see any change really of anything is if Brian Cashman and his analytic team goes. Mike Fishman, if I see these guys get fired this offseason, I will be very excited because that means big change is coming. I don't know how can stomach anymore with all the alternative media that's out there. Have guys like us. You have big channels out there like NYY recaps, NYYU, 161 River Ave. All these guys are just. I don't know how he can't hear it that fans are upset, and Brian Cashman is really not the guy anymore. There's no, I have zero faith that he's the guy that can get Giancarlo off this roster. I think the only man that could do it because he's did it once is Derek Jeter. He's the
yeah.
only guy that can do it. So I
Yeah,
don't
well, he was
know.
coming off an MVP season right then, so that's a little bit different story.
Listen, man,
Um,
he fleeced us.
I see if the Yankees can't develop major league starting pitching from their system, nor can they develop left-handed bats, I see no reason why they wouldn't, just pay a little bit of money and bring on these world-class talents from abroad, because I think that's just like adding a very expensive prospect to the top of your minor leagues. But hey, You need some guys. I mean, we've been talking about this for months. The Yankees team is just too old.
Yeah.
Get rid of two guys who are like 35 years old and bring in guys who are 25. It's like the cycle of life. You just gotta figure it out, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. Um, any last thoughts before we bid everyone adieu? There's not much going on in Yankee land. The Yankee and Boston game got rained out. I believe it will be a doubleheader tomorrow. Yeah, split doubleheader, 1:35 and then 7 p.m. Of course, I forgot to mention this. We're recording this as of 9/11. Anyone that was first responder, anyone that had family, lose their lives in the Twin Towers. My prayers to you and your family, and thank them for their service, or you for your service. Really appreciate what the men in uniform does for civilians like me and Tyler. I never served, and I don't think I could do it just mentally. So you guys are goats for sure. Appreciate everything you guys do. Any last words, Tyler, before we let him go?
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. Um, you gotta take your hats off to that. Tip the cap. Whatever you got to do, pay respect.
Yes.
Um, Changing the tone just slightly here. Uh, just a little reminder that next Friday or Saturday, they got the
Brian
Under Brian
Cashman.
Cashman Day.
Yes, that is September 22nd, which is, yeah, it is next Saturday, next Friday, not the one coming up this Saturday, but the following Friday. Sorry. I'm thinking about going. I know I'm going to the event on September 23rd. I'm honestly thinking about going on the 22nd. If we can make it happen, we can make it happen.
You
Like,
said he's not hearing stuff. Maybe if everybody's chanting something.
I think he's
Mhm.
hearing it. If he's not hearing it, at least he's starting to watch the games. Him calling up the kids against Brian Cashman and the analytic guys. Will, at least that's the reports. I think he's listening or he's watching. One of the two. He might not be listening to YouTube people talk shit, but maybe he's listening to WFAN and some of the sports radios around him and hearing how people are down talking the Yankees, of saying that they look like a shell of themselves, and maybe that got to him. But you know what? I hope we get to him on the 22nd. I know he won't be there, but to hear Michael K and Paul, Paul O'Neill's gonna mention this shit all the whole time. Yeah, they're really loud with this Fire Cashman chants. You hear it, Michael? So I hope they keep talking about it during the broadcast. So maybe Hal can you know make some changes, some hard changes. You don't have to fire the man. Like, you really don't. Make this man. What's his name? Randy Levine's looking like he needs to retire. You know what I'm saying? Let that man sail off into the sunset in one of his boats. Promote Cashman to the president of the Yankees, where he does not have anything to do with any baseball operations. And you got two great candidates right there in the organization right now. Let the Sabian be the GM, let Manaya be the president of baseball operations. Let's rock and roll.
Hmm.
It's simple.
Okay. I'll take it.
Is it
I'll
Larry
take it.
Levine or Randy Levine? I think it's Randy.
Randy.
It's Randy, right?
Yeah,
I
the
always confuse that.
curly
I know a
blonde
Larry
guy.
Levine. That's why I always confuse the two. I
Shout
think
out
it's,
Larry.
yeah. Shout out to Larry. All right, Tyler. Thank you for another great episode. Not much to talk about. The Yankees still suck. We did get gas. We didn't get gaslighted, but it was the honeymoon phase of the kids coming up. We had a few good games. At
That
least
was
we,
like the best 6 games of my life right there.
yeah. At least, honestly, you know what? I'm gonna take one thing back. At least we can say we swept fucking Houston, because they swept us last year. At least we can say we swept fucking Houston.
Yeah, that's funny. So it's like the shittiest team ever. We finally swept. But
Yeah,
we finally beat them at all.
exactly. I think yeah.
Like,
Every time we played them, we either lost the series or we split the series. So it was nice for a long time to actually win a series. Not only that, but the first time since 2013, we swept them. So I think that was the first time we swept them since 2013 inside of Minute Maid Park. But anyway, I digress. Guys, thank you for a great episode. Tyler, again, appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
peace.
Every time.